Hey, welcome back to my channel. This situation just took a serious turn, and what's coming next could have major consequences for Joseph Duggar, legally. Because now there are growing signs that a civil case may be filed against him, potentially by the family of the minor involved. And the reason we even know this? It all comes from a GoFundMe that was set up by the child's father. This information didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was shared publicly on Facebook, originally posted by Kendra's parents, and then passed along to me through someone close to the family. And what they're asking for right now is urgent. They're saying they need help securing safe housing, and not just that, but safety in general, because of the situation they're currently in. Here's where things get complicated. The home they're living in used to belong to them, but in 2025, ownership was transferred back to Kendra and Joseph, and now they're renting from them. And if you heard those phone calls, you already know. Joseph and Kendra were literally talking and even laughing about the family moving out, about taking the house back over, turning it into rental income, possibly using it to take out loans and expand, maybe even build again. At one point, Kendra even made comments about her own family's behavior, and it was pretty clear she wasn't happy with them. Now, to really understand what's happening, you have to look at the bigger picture. There's been a long-standing conflict between Jim Bob and Paul, and while I only gave you a surface-level version before, the reality runs much deeper. At the core of it, Paul lost everything. He was not only a pastor, but also worked as a mechanic in a shop connected to the Duggars. His role in the church was tied into their system. He had housing through them. He had income through them. And when things fell apart, it all disappeared. Jim Bob, along with others in the church, provided support, housing, salary, but once the fallout happened, that support was gone. And not only that, Paul was turned against publicly. Now, a major source of that conflict was belief systems. Paul follows independent fundamentalist Baptist teachings, strictly rooted in the Bible, especially the King James Version. He does not follow IBLP materials, no workbooks, no seminars, no ATI curriculum, none of it. And that created friction, because Jim Bob wanted IBLP integrated into everything, and Paul refused. In fact, I was told that Paul would attend Big Sandy conferences not because he agreed, but because he wanted to understand what was being taught and try to bring people back to what he believed was the true biblical foundation. So when Joseph made comments on that call about being led astray by focusing only on the King James Version, someone close to Paul believes that wasn't just a comment, it was a message to his father. Basically saying, I didn't follow the broader IBLP teachings, and that's why I went wrong. And that tension, it built up over time. There were also issues involving honesty, especially around Josh, and disagreements about how things were handled internally. So this wasn't just one disagreement, it was layers of conflict. And eventually, everything collapsed. Paul lost his church, his income, his reputation, and years later, he finds out his daughter was a victim. Now, think about that. After everything that already happened, he was living in a home he had bought from Joseph and Kendra back in 2021 for around $10,000, likely through payments over time. But then, without his knowledge, land was divided, ownership changed, and the house was essentially taken back. At the same time, development plans were happening, splitting land into multiple plots, building structures like an Airbnb, and taking out loans tied to the property. Meanwhile, the Caldwells were trying to build their own home while dealing with ongoing medical expenses, so pressure was already high. Then everything escalated. The tension between both sides grew, and then Paul finds out, from his daughter, what allegedly happened. She's 14, born in 2011, and what's even more disturbing is that she connected the dots after learning about another case involving someone she knew. Before that case became public, many of these girls didn't even understand what had happened to them. But once it did, she realized. She told her father, and he confronted Joseph. That confrontation happened on March 17th, and shortly after that, everything started unraveling. There were already signs they were preparing to move, but now it's clear why. Despite what some people are saying, they are moving because of this situation, because they're scared. Because they believe retaliation is possible. And because, according to their own statement, they need to get to safety. I was sent a message from someone close to them saying Paul had shared this publicly and wanted people to spread the word. And in their own words, they explained that they are dealing with an urgent situation, needing help with legal costs and a safe place to live. They emphasized safety multiple times. Safe housing, a safe place to live, finding safety. That repetition tells you everything. Because right now, they're living in a home owned by the person they're accusing, which means access is possible. And that creates a serious risk. Legally, they could pursue protective orders, like a permanent no-contact order, but that requires navigating the court system. They could also file a civil lawsuit in Florida. Because while a criminal case may cover things like medical costs or therapy, it does not cover pain and suffering. And that's where civil action comes in, especially in cases involving minors where long-term emotional impact is a major factor. But in the immediate, they don't have many resources. They need to get out. They need distance. They need protection. And based on what was heard in those calls about moving assets into different names, it raises serious questions about whether there's an effort to shield financial exposure ahead of a lawsuit. Because in Florida, legal action doesn't just stop at one person. There are multiple avenues depending on the circumstances. And that's why this situation is far from over. In fact, it's probably just beginning. Now, here's something else that stood out to me. Despite claims that the family is supporting the victim privately, that doesn't appear to be the case. According to what I've been told, support is being directed toward Joseph and Kendra, not toward the victim's side. And that includes efforts that could push the Caldwells out of their current home. On a personal level, I also asked about Paul's beliefs, specifically regarding divorce, and I was told his views are very different. He believes there are biblical grounds for divorce in serious situations, and that staying in harmful circumstances is not something he would ever support. I was also told that while he has strong beliefs, he's calm, respectful, and believes in handling things through proper legal channels, not hiding them internally, which explains why he went to the authorities, despite knowing the consequences that would follow, including losing housing. So where does this leave things? Right now, the family is in a vulnerable position, financially and physically. They're dealing with legal uncertainty, safety concerns, and pressure from a much more powerful system around them. And according to someone close to the situation, this is a level of crisis the Duggars haven't faced before. The stakes are higher, and the outcome could be very different. If you want to support them, that option is there. If not, that's completely your choice. The fundraiser itself is verified, and GoFundMe does provide protection for donations. But more than anything, this situation raises a lot of serious questions. So I want to hear from you. What do you think is really going on here? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching. Bye, besties.